Just a reminder, you can catch me recording this podcast live on AMP. AMP is a new live radio app that lets you call in and chat with me in person while recording. Get the app on Apple's App Store and make sure you follow me at John Middlekauff to get notified when I go live. What is going on, everybody? John Middlekauff, Go Low Podcast, U.S. Open Edition, LACC. Can't wait. Let's buckle up and dive right into it. We will give some thoughts on this course. I was lucky enough to grace its presence a couple years ago and play. Struggled to break 90. It's really, really difficult. Breaking news. And that was not even U.S. Open conditions. I'll talk about some of the favorites, some of the main names coming into this. We will go down the betting card as well. Sobel will join us. And we'll just rock and roll. I don't think I'm going to do a mailbag on this show. Obviously, at GoLowPod is the Instagram. You can fire in those DMs. We'll probably save that for next week. But this is a pretty big edition. I'm fired up. I watched some press conferences today. I've watched a lot of live from the U.S. Open. It's exciting. It doesn't get much better. If you're watching this on YouTube, you see me wearing a Go Low polo. If you follow me on Instagram or Twitter, you've seen me tweeting out some links, tweeting out some visuals of me wearing this stuff. Go to the Volumes website, thevolume.com, search the merch. And if you buy a Go Low polo, it's Adidas, fits fantastic. You get half off a trucker hat, a Go Low trucker hat, a mesh snapback, I think as the kids call it, when you use the promo code OPEN23. So we got a deal going for the U.S. Open, polo, hat, half off hat, promo code OPEN23. Go check it out. Polo fits fantastic. Love my guys at Adidas. Stay hot, guys. Before we dive into the course and to the tournament, you got to download the Gametime app. Download the Gametime app, and when you do, promo code GOLOW, $20 off any pair of tickets. Baseball games, basketball games, football games, obviously the fall, SEC, NFL, you name it, as well as comedy shows and concerts. You want to go see one of the big concerts this summer? Go get outside, enjoy some brewskis, watch your favorite musician. Download the Gametime app, promo code GOLOW, $20 off a pair of tickets. Hey, before we get into my guy Koepka and Scottie Scheffler, I was lucky enough a couple years ago. I have some family friends. Larry Raber and his son Scottie. Scottie's a good buddy of mine. He's an absolute stick. I could take him anywhere, and he can shoot par or better. He's one of the easily the best golfers I know, and his game travels. His dad, absolute golf addict. Worked in the banking business for a long time. Worked at Wells Fargo. And so he knows a lot of people in banking all over America. A lot of those people in banking play golf. And they asked me, they're like, hey, I think we can get us on Los Angeles Country Club. Do you want to play on Saturday and go to the Niner game on Sunday? I was like, how about this? I'll get the Niners-Rams tickets, and that was the crazy overtime game where the Niners had to win to get into the playoffs. They ended up winning on a last-second pick. Again, crazy-ass comeback by Jimmy Garoppolo, Kyle Shanahan. And we played LA Country Club the day before. We actually played golf on Friday as well. It was an incredible weekend. It was one of the great 24-hour stretches of my life. I was brutally hungover by the time the Niner game came around, but I got to play LACC. And honestly, I'd never really heard about it before it got named to be a U.S. Open venue course. And even then, I wasn't super locked in. So when I got to play it, I didn't know much about it. I never forget getting on the property going, this place is fucking amazing. Some of the backdrops, the views of LA. And listen, I'm someone that's born and raised in Northern California. I grew up hating LA, but I hated LA because I hated the Dodgers and I definitely hate the Lakers. Well, you get a little older, you get a little more money, you go down to Hollywood, you go down to Malibu, you go down to Newport, you're like, this place is sweet. It's dramatically nicer than the Bay Area. It's not even close. Right? You're paying the California taxes either way. You might as well have the ocean and the ladies. And the course is just immaculate. And when I played, one thing, it's like you get down there, like, how many actors are members? How many famous people are members? It's just the natural, thing you ask whoever is, hosting you and the members. And they kind of word gets out, well, this isn't that type course. This is the people that run Hollywood. This is the people that run the finances. We don't have actors at this course. That's for Bel Air and Riviera. This course is just people you haven't heard of that have a lot of money. I mean, I'm probably the poorest guy that's ever played the golf course. Hole 4, Lionel Richie has a house. I played a lot of golf in my life. I've been lucky enough to play all over Monterey, played different places in the Bay Area that are super nice. It's probably the biggest house on a golf course I've ever seen. It's a monstrosity. Rumors have it that Goldman Sachs rented it out this week for like $8 to $10 million to host parties. I'm not overstating how insanely big it is when you look at it. It's on this cool par 3. The Playboy Mansion is on hole 14. The Spelling family, who were heavy hitters in Hollywood, have a home that looks like a vacation resort. Like it could host thousands of people. So the homes on this place, you can't see from the road. It's an unreal place. Obviously, as someone that grew up pre-internet, the Playboy Mansion, you get by it, you can hear the monkeys and the animals. Hugh's gone now and it's sold. But just the buzz around the course of the famous people that own places is pretty cool. And then the course itself, it's just not like anything I've played in California. And I've played Olympic Club. I've played Monterey Peninsula. I've never played Pebble, but then been there a million times. Played a bunch of golf in Monterey. Played a lot of golf, the Cow Club in the Bay Area. This course is very, very unique. It's very, very difficult as well. And there are 2 really long par 3s, hole 7 and 11. 7 is just a straightaway shot. A lot of these guys are going to hit 3 and 5 wood. It's not that crazy hard for that level of player. Hell, I bogeyed it. I was close to the green, just couldn't get up and down. Hole 11, the 290-yard par 3, sounds a lot crazier than it is in terms of yardage. It's downhill. It probably plays closer even from the back tips, 250. The problem is the slope of the green. If you miss, you are dead. I think I picked up on that hole because I hit it into the sand. I couldn't get out of the sand. Then I thinned it over the green, and then I hit it back over. It is very, very difficult. That is a hole, if you fuck up your tee shot, has double or triple bogey written all over it. Then obviously there's a very famous, it's a drivable par 4, but I don't think anyone is going to drive the green because you have to fly it over trees. You can't see the green. Well, you can lay up to like a 50-yard shot, but I swear to God, and I hit an incredible shot. I hit a hybrid. I had 50 yards in. But when they say the word hard pan, and I always say it like, oh, it's hard pan. Well, it's one thing to just say it out loud, and then it's another thing to play it. I swear to God, my ball, 50-yard shot, lob wedge in my hand, it felt like I was hitting it off concrete. Another hole where I thinned it 70 yards over the green because the shot is very, very difficult. And if anyone's been following these guys on social media, they're all messing with that hole because it is very, very tricky. Not just the angle you have to attack because the bunkering around the green is crazy, and that takes, shape for a lot of these holes. But the hard pan you're hitting it off is very, very, you have to hit it perfectly. And if you don't, that's another hole where it'd be pretty easy to leave it short in the bunker, thin it over. You're going to see some crazy swings. There are birdieable holes. My one lone birdie was on a 100-yard par 3. And watching live from, they said one of the days they might play it at 80 yards. I think when I played it, it was playing like 110 yards. And at the time, like, this is one of those unique courses. There's not like 3 sets of tees. There's not like a good player, a men's and the women's. It's just like there was one set of tees. So you're just kind of playing the tip. So the course is really, really long. A lot of weird undulation, a lot of weird places you can't miss. There are birdies out there if you're playing well. It's not like a diabolical course every single hole, but it's a unique track. And I think it's going to show remarkably well on television. There's nothing like West Coast golf in the majors where you get that 5, 6 o'clock. If you're on the Eastern Seaboard, you're watching golf under the, not under the lights, under the sun, right? As the sun's setting at like 8:30. I remember Pebble when Gary Woodland won. It's just an awesome, awesome thing. It really pops on TV. Unlike, Pebble, there's no ocean. There aren't ocean views. But I think this thing's going to show really well. Now, a lot of people that are on the grounds, having been there, it's not really consumer friendly. I think one question I've heard people that are there have is, it's probably not going to be insane galleries. This is not going to look like Canadian Open, partly because this place is so exclusive. They're probably not selling that many tickets. And 2, they just don't have the space. So that's going to be a fascinating element. It's not going to be empty, but it is not going to be just batshit crazy people everywhere. there's not going to be 100,000 people on property every single day. So I'm very excited to watch this thing play out. And today I was at the gym and I turned on Golf Channel because it's doing a little, incline, about 11, hold on to the bars, get a good hour walk, try to get a sweat. And Koepka comes on. So I take out my headphones and I turn it up and I watched his press conference. And my takeaway about halfway through is, holy moly, this guy's in a good headspace. Sometimes when Koepka, I would say historically, when he has these press conferences, he can kind of come off as like arrogant and angry. It's like, Brooks, just lighten up a little bit. I saw a guy today that was, honestly, he had this Tom Brady, Michael Jordan-like vibe. It was very confident, but also he's like in a very good mental headspace. My number one takeaway after watching him talk was like, I don't know how this guy doesn't win if his game's there, right? And his game typically is there with the majors. And he said something fascinating because he's never played here. He just showed up the other day. He doesn't even play 18 holes on a given practice round. He plays 9 and 9. And they say, how do you prepare for these courses when you don't know them? He's like, well, it's not really that complicated. I play the hole backwards. He's like, every single hole I play during a practice round, I get to the center of the green and I look back at the tee box. So I can view it from, like, I play the hole backwards. So I know where to miss, how to attack, and I kind of envision if they put the pin here, where I'd want to be with the approach shot. If they put the pin here, it's like that's a pretty basic way to attack a course, but very, very functional. It's like when Belichick goes, well, how do you win football games? Like, I try to take our strengths against their weaknesses, and I try to take their strengths and avoid our weaknesses against them. It's like, well, yeah, it's a pretty easy way to put it. And when you listen to Brooks is not as sexy as when Jordan Spieth's humming, right? He's not as sexy as when Rory McIlroy is making shit happen, or Phil Mickelson or Tiger Woods in their prime. The dude is a killer, though, and you could see it on his face. You could see his mentality, how happy he is. He is also, and here's what I appreciate about him, for a guy that took $100+ million for LIV, he never claims them. He made a joke at the end of the press conference. I will see you guys at the Travelers next week. It felt like a joke, but who knows? Maybe he's coming back. And he has been the guy, I think, that is just kind of sat on the fence the best about, like, I'm not all in with you guys. I'll take the money. I'll be there. But after he won the PGA Championship, that first round at LIV, he was on the phone walking down the fairway. I don't think he gives a bleep about Greg Norman or LIV. He took their money. It allows him to stay laser focused and, fresh for these majors. But if LIV disbands tomorrow and he has to play, the Waste Management and Travelers and the Memorial and Riv, I don't think he would care at all. And he kind of had that vibe, like, I'm in a great place. He said, I plan on winning 10 majors. That might be difficult, but he's 33 years old. He's already got 5. I don't think eight is out of the question. And I understand Scottie Scheffler is putting on one of the great performances in the history of the game, ball striking wise. Depending on, I've heard some say he has the greatest ball striking year since VJ in 03. Someone else says Tiger since 04. He is putting on a clinic, tee to green. And his short game is also elite. Like a lot of people, including myself, I'm going to dabble on Cam Smith, are going to pick Cam Smith because his short game and his putting. Well, Scottie Scheffler's short game is unreal. Remember when he beat Cam Smith at the Masters? Why did he do that? Oh, he's chipping in. Now, the knock on him is his putting, and his putting's been really, really bad. But, like, all he has to do is be average. If Scottie Scheffler is average, he should win this week, because this is a week where you got a lot of long irons, you got a lot of woods into par threes. That's what this guy does best. So, to me, Koepka, and the odds don't reflect it, Koepka has, the only reason his odds are not Scottie Scheffler's odds, because he plays on LIV. And no one sees him play beside basically 4 times a year, right? No one watches him. No one has the data. We don't know. And even if he wins on LIV, we don't even know what that means, right? If he had been doing, even just playing like he normally does, not that like engaged on the PGA Tour, I think he'd easily be 6-7-1 going into this. He literally was in the last group at the Masters and said immediately after, that will never happen to me again, came back to the PGA and dominated. I mean, he had a disaster relative to his standard at the Masters, finished 3rd. Koepka's standards are the closest thing since Tiger's. Like, let's face it, Rory McIlroy, I'm not going to bet on this weekend. I watched him last week. Like, he just kind of crumbles when it matters. He can't put 4 rounds together. Rory McIlroy standards like week in, week out on the PGA Tour, making a ton of money, top 10s in majors, winning regular PGA Tour events is very, very impressive. He's going to go down as one of the all-time great players. I don't have faith in him winning this major. Not at all. I just don't. Just like the Xanders and the Tony Finau's, like, I'm not touching those guys. But when it comes to Koepka, when it comes to Scottie, I know Rahm hasn't been playing as well the second half of this year. I would never discount him. Like I said earlier, I got money on Homa. I don't feel great about it. Like, I wouldn't put my money on him right now, but since I bet it 3 months ago, I'm going to let it ride. Hopefully he plays well. He's comfortable here. I don't know the connection with the LA guy. If we put too much into that, the Morikawas, the Homas, the Gallas, a Southern California guy. Patrick Cantlay had the course record before Homa broke it. So I think there's going to be a lot of interest kind of in that crew. I know the problem with Morikawa is he has a bad back, but this to me is not like a flyer situation this week. This is the horses are getting it done. And I think, listen, if I had to put my life savings, if I at least could get 2 guys, it would be on Scottie and Koepka. I'm not saying it's golf. It's hard, to get outright winners, but it feels like one of those 2 guys at minimum is, I don't know, in the second to last group at worst on Sunday. And it wouldn't shock me if they're one of those 2 guys in the last group and the other guys in the second or third to last group. I think they are clearly the best 2 players coming into this. Koepka is just a major machine. Scottie is playing the best beside the putting, but to me, that can be a little streaky. And I also think there are a lot of interesting names. This is a course that is going to require short game, some magic. It's why I think a lot of people are kind of in on Jordan Spieth. I'm not. He hurt his wrist a month ago, still makes me nervous. One guy from just a value standpoint, if you're looking at it like the stock market, buy low, sell high, and this guy has not had a good year. But he has and one thing Sobel often says, because it's like, should I take a flyer on Sahith Theegala to win? Well, he's never won a PGA tournament. Same thing with like Cam Young. Not necessarily this week, he's playing bad, but just in general. You can keep betting on Cam Young, but he has not won yet. So he doesn't technically have win equity. Justin Thomas has won double-digit times on the PGA Tour. He's won multiple majors. I understand he's having a rough year, but he's 40-1. His odds are the exact same as Ricky Fowler. Ricky Fowler has 5 career wins. Justin Thomas probably has 5 career wins in the last 24 months. So that's one guy that the form would not lead you to bet on him. But just based on the value, that to me is easily the best value on the board, because I will not be betting Tony Finau. I will not be betting Xander Schauffele. Cantlay, I just refuse to bet him, but I would take Cantlay over the other 2 guys. Jordan Spieth, I'm not touching. Cam Smith would be the one guy that he's Sobel's pick. He's a lot of people's pick. It is a little harder to gauge how he looks week in, week out, because we don't get to see him play. But he came on in the PGA Championship, shot 65 on Sunday, played pretty well at the Masters. He's a guy that, when it's all said and done, could easily win another major. I think this course, a lot of people think it has parallels to Augusta in the fact that you don't have to be straight off the tee, but you got to be very, very good around the greens. A lot of undulation, a lot of crazy chips, a lot of touch required. Trust me, I don't have it, and this course kicked my ass. So to me, Justin Thomas is a guy at 39-40-1. Very, very intriguing to win it as kind of a quote-unquote flyer. And then Cam Smith. Some guys top 10. Fleetwood is playing fantastically. So is Terrell Hatton. Those are 2 Ryder Cup guys that I would hammer for a top 10. To me, Ricky Fowler, who has a similar number to JT, I can't bet him to win the tournament outright, but I think he's another guy you feel pretty confident about hammering top 10. I think if you did a Hatton, Fleetwood, Ricky, those 3 guys to finish top 10, I think there's a decent chance you'd hit 2 out of 3 of them. I really do. I know Sobel mentioned Si Woo. He's a guy that's been playing really well. He's made $5 million this year. A couple, kind of names further down the board. Keegan Bradley is a guy. To me, he's a long shot guy. Finished second or third in this event last year in Boston. He's a tough golf course player. He's playing pretty well at 85-1, because when you look at him and Theegala, Theegala, the win equity, I'm tempted to just dabble on Theegala at 75, 80 to 1, but Keegan has more win equity than he does. And Keegan, to me, has a better chance at an environment like this from having, like a Friday, Saturday going 67, 68 and being one back or one in the lead or just right there in the mix. So I really love Hatton and Fleetwood. At minimum, one of those two guys to top 10. I'm going to bet both of them to top 10 and probably Ricky as well. I would say Keegan Bradley. Justin Rose at 40 to 1 is a pretty interesting name. Tough golf course player. He's playing well. But I was watching the Canadian Open. He's second to last group on Sunday. And, relative to his standards, kind of shits the bed because that was a tournament that was there to be had. And he just makes me a little nervous about getting the job done. But when the dust settles, is he a two major guy or does he fit right in as a one major guy? So I would say the two Englishmen, Hatton, Fleetwood, Big Dick Rick, Theegala flyer. I probably like him more top 20. Keegan Bradley would be my long shot guy, but I bet Keegan Bradley a lot, long shot guy, especially in these big tournaments. And then JT, to me, he's just a value play. I know based on the numbers, his finishes, you wouldn't feel great. But if I would have told you a year ago at this 2022, June 13th, you could get Justin Thomas. He'd be playing in a major. It's not like he's missing a leg or an arm. 40 to 1. You'd be like, with Bones? Did something happen? Tiger Woods beat him up? No. So I'm going to put some cash on him for sure. It's just too good a value.